Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Episode 9 of the Success Shift today. Hope you can all hear me. Perfect. We'll be getting started in just a minute. A couple minutes to the hour. Very excited today to be speaking with an old friend who I've rekindled with. Almost 5 years ago, so very much looking forward to today. Hope you've had a fantastic weekend. I've lost a little giraffe I had on here before. I don't know if you saw it at the start, but it was a fun little giraffe at the start. Couple minutes to go here and we'll be getting started. Alrighty, hey buddy, how you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Good. Just gonna stop this. And how are we doing today? Good?
A bit tired to be.
Bit tired?
To be honest. yeah.
I
Got naked every day.
I had an early morning myself this morning, but welcome everybody. Welcome, Pat. Good to have you on here. We are live for episode 9 of the Success Shift, where we figure out what it takes to shift in the mind to sort of become successful. I like to talk to people who have either been successful or believe they are successful and figure out exactly what happens sort of more on an internal level within the mind in order to get to the success that they're at. I have a hypothesis that believing that you're successful actually helps as a catalyst to becoming successful. And so through a series of this new episode that I've started, I'd like to see if that is true, what others' opinions are, and sort of the journey they've gotten to where they are. So thank you very much for joining me today, Patrick. Patrick? I don't think I've ever called you Patrick.
I don't know. Probably not. Like maybe sometimes. It got more serious.
Yeah, exactly. So for those that don't know, obviously I met Pat about 5 years ago now, when he was traveling through Australia and came and stayed at my place down in Oz. And now 5 years later, here we are on the other side of the world around your end of hometown. I'm in Germany and you're just across the road. But you've had quite a little adventure over the last 5 years. You've managed to turn your passion, would I say, into a business and had a very exciting little time since I spoke to you last. So would you tell us a little bit about that and what you've been up to the last few years?
Yeah, of course. Well, when we met 5 years ago, was sort of, like during my travels, you come across a lot of different people that inspire you besides the dreams that you already had, and sort of created a certain point of view, what I wanted to do when I got home, and the things I wanted to, well, maybe not accomplish, but want to try and accomplish. Rather, at that time it wasn't really. I was a bit afraid myself to actually jump in it all, but I had big dreams and, I went for it. And by now, a couple of them came true, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. And, when I was traveling, I started dreaming about, building my own house and wanted to incorporate traveling and my passion for building stuff like that to be part of my daily work and see if I could do something with that and make a living of it. And I wouldn't say I made sort of like, it's not my living, but I'm traveling, I'm building stuff, I'm making things with cool people.
Yeah.
So I guess it turned out quite well.
Yeah, nice. They say, love what you do, don't work a day in your life. So if you're doing what you love, then I suppose that's good. It's success to me, right?
exactly. I mean, yeah, I like when I got home, I got in contact with a company that was just starting up. I saw an advert on Facebook where they were asking for some creative people to make a couple of cool things on their campsite, and yeah, in the forest in Biscarrosse in France, where they were building a surf camp. So
Nice.
applied for it, and that sort of got the ball rolling. That wasn't that long after I came back. Actually, it was just it's just sheer luck that I found the advert on Facebook.
Nice.
And but yeah, I mean, from there it basically just started it all. I mean, in a couple of years, I started being more getting more yeah, involved in the company, and building more and more things. First of all, it was on a volunteering base, and then it got a bit more serious where I was making some cash on the side, like a side gig besides my usual work. And very luckily, like when I just got back, which is sort of like a big part of the story as well, when I got back, one of my old friends, he asked me to come and work at his company for about 2.5 months, which was carpentry.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any expertise with all of that. So being creative and technical, that was a pretty cool thing to do. So I said yes and tried it out for 2.5 months. And after that, I sort of, didn't really leave and got to get more experience in that. And slightly after that, I got involved with the creative side of building stuff on a surf camp, which was at the time, well, I mean, I didn't have that much experience, so I was a bit bluffing as well,
Fake it till you make it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I got experience along the way, and the company kept growing, and now they are quite a big player in the European market, and I am basically one of the top men in the technical aspects of it. Um, Whereas I work with a lot of volunteers as well, and a lot of close friends of mine who also have a big passion for building, constructing, and building creative things. So yeah, from 2017, I guess it was when I got involved, end of 2016, 2017. I got involved, and then it got me where I am, which is having my own company, building stuff and designing stuff for the same organization. Still, also doing a lot of things on the side through my own company.
Nice.
I know. I think it's it developed quite well, and most of all, I'm having a lot of fun while doing it. So I guess that speaks for itself.
That's the key, isn't it? So, because people who might not understand, but you're basically going in and you're completely building these camps from scratch, aren't you? So you're going into like a forest or into the beach side or something like that, and you're completely building these camps up for everything for these people to come along and have their 2 week or 1 week camp retreat sort of thing, aren't
Yeah.
you? Is that how it works?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We don't really have our own campsite yet. We were busy with that before the whole Corona thing, but being everything being unstable right now, it's not really a good foundation for big investments. So
Yeah.
we're still working, we're still working with local campsites, and they allow us to build a lot of cool stuff. Like we ask them up front to make deals and stuff with them, but most of it has to be broken down. So we go in, start from scratch, and build a lot of creative things and think out the whole concept. Involving the layout and everything. For example, in Sweden, we built a camp. It wasn't a surf camp. It was more like a wilderness survival themed thing. And
Cool. I love that.
yeah, me too. Like it was really cool. Like the whole environment there, and also the people. The camp owner is a bit of a strange lady, but she
Yeah.
is very awesome. Like yeah, I
You live in
really
the bush, you get that way, don't you?
exactly. And she had a beautiful, pristine green field where we were planning on building the tents on platforms with their own terrace and everything. But like getting there, we we were thinking like, look, that field is just very nice. It looks a bit like a, like a small Hobbiton, very green field with some rocks and some trees and,
Nice.
slight hilly waterside view. And it was just a shame to put, put the tents on there. So what we did was we actually just decided to move everything into the forest, which was just on the edge of the green field. It was a lot more wood, but now we have, platforms that are like half a meter, 80 centimeters above ground with a staircase to them, just on the edge of the green field. And it was, working with volunteers and stuff, we decided as a team, which was cool. But in the end, we had to manually lift 136,000 kilos of wood.
That is outrageous. So just to make it a little bit nicer, like, you know what, let's just manually lift this 136,000 kilos. Is that what it was? Of wood into this forest. Yeah. And you're working with all volunteers as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of like, they're a bit paid, but they get, they get like a volunteering fee. And but apart from that, everything is worked out for them. So they have to, it doesn't cost them a thing. And, try to make it as fun as possible for them as well. But on this, well, I mean, we had a lot of people that loved working. So, the working part, the working part was a lot of fun for them. But yeah, looking at the hours, we made a decision as a group. So, everybody stood behind it, but it meant during the course of 4 weeks that we had to work about 10 to 12 hours a day. And we ended up with having 2 rest days in 4 weeks. So
that's crazy.
I mean, it was hard work, but it was in the sun. We had a sauna on a platform floating in the middle of the lake. We had canoes where we could go on a little side trip, at the end of the day. And but yeah, all the locals came and were looking at the piles of wood that were delivered for us. And in the beginning, they were like, what are you going to do with it? You're not going to, how are you going to achieve this? It's not going to work. Yeah. But yeah, they came back at the end and they were like, all right, Matt, respect for this. This is
that's cool. Free. So here you are out in the bush of, did you say Switzerland or Sweden?
Sweden, yep.
So you're up in Sweden with 14 volunteers, and you've got 4 weeks or 2 weeks? 4 weeks to...
4 weeks, yep.
4 weeks to get this piles of wood into this beautiful campsite, and they're all volunteers. That's a pretty impressive feat. Like that must be something you can be proud of, because, I mean, you get paid workers to do that kind of work, and you don't get that kind of response. But I suppose in that environment, setting the right scene, setting the right tone, giving them the right attitude and the right environment, like the right environment with the fun things to do, it's crazy how much better we can perform and how much happier people are to actually do the work, because you managed to get it done, which is amazing.
Yeah, we did in the end. Yeah, which it's sort of like, for us, it's a good lesson as well. We this year again, we took that specific project as an example of how to approach other projects. And I mean, it's up to us to not begin with such a workload. We aim a little lower than that, obviously. But we got all this work done with volunteers. People, like, they want to come back. They saw it as a very, very cool thing to do. They did agree that, maybe next time it would be nice to, lower the workload a bit. But since we made a decision all together that we should change plans, we knew that it was going to be a lot of work, and everybody agreed that, in order to make a camp that is not just great, but just, amazing or spectacular, we were going to do that. But I don't think everybody expected it to be that much work, to be honest.
The idea was good, the workload maybe not so much.
Yeah, no, but at the end, we, like, you can do a lot of things to make, to keep people happy or to have fun with the group, as long as everybody is having fun. And you manage to keep each other happy, because it's not just me being there as a project leader, but it's just a group ethic as well. Luckily, we had a lot of amazing people that, not only loved working hard and got a lot of satisfaction out of it, they also knew how to motivate each other and watch each other's backs. And um, creating an environment as a group is very, very rewarding.
Yeah. Because I can
Yeah.
imagine you'd have those days where you just sort of hit the wall and you're just like, fuck this, I don't want to be here. Why have I done this? And I think, as you're saying, having that group of people around you to motivate you, to have you, pick you up when you're down, or have you pat on the back, like, it's going to be all right, we can get through this, makes it so much easier. If you get to those points and you're like, what have I done? This is too hard, and you've got no one around you, it's so much easier to quit. Or if you've got a bunch of other people who you have to fight against or hide your feelings around, then it becomes harder and harder. But I think if you've got that positive frame of mind and you've got that good environment and people are open and honest, and you have those people who pick you up and give you that slap on the back and be like, it's going to be all right, we can get through this, then it becomes so much easier to get those massive chores done. I mean, what you've done in 14 weeks with such a small amount of people is pretty impressive. So I can imagine having that, I'd say, camaraderie amongst the group definitely makes a difference. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we did become sort of like a family, I mean, if you're together for 4 weeks working that many hours, we didn't really have, like, we had a tents to sleep in. So we didn't really have our own space, so we had to be together the whole day and entertain each other. And in the evenings, obviously,
Yeah.
we drink a couple of beers, playing some games. And but in the end, I think one of the coolest things was that we had this thing that, we gave 2 people the job of cooking something they wanted to cook. And didn't really matter how much time they would spend in the kitchen or whatever. At the end of a hard work day, a meal is very, a very nice thing to have.
Very appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. And, everything tastes better after a hard work day. But, having 2 people spending the whole day cooking for the rest of the group, like, they are getting a lot of satisfaction out of like the reaction of the group to the food. But also they have sort of like an easy day off, they can go to the shopping mall, do the groceries, and then cook for a whole day. It gives people a little bit of rest, but also a lot of satisfaction. And the evenings, because of it, was just like it was always a feast, and always, drinking beers afterwards, doing the dishes together, with loud music, dancing, like making fun of each other while doing it, having jokes about what happened those days. And most of the times, like, a lot of the jokes were about me being lazy and just walking around while I was checking out how people were doing. Yeah, but no, it was good fun. Like, there was a lot of respect towards each other in the group. Awesome. And yeah, we bonded really well.
It's crazy. I mean, so I don't know if I told you this before, but when COVID first hit, obviously I was in Canada with the girlfriend, and we had this tiny school bus that we were living in. We converted to a tiny home, and my dream, when everyone was going chaotic, was just to piss off into the bush and just live out there, and we could build some, like, a little environment, have a few people, like, like a little commune sort of thing, and actually build up a little area, have some people cook, like a fireplace, and have like a little community away from where all the chaos was in the towns. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that was kind of like my ideal dream. And here you are, in Sweden, doing the same thing. You got, a bunch of mates around. You're all having a laugh, building some stuff in the forest. You're there for 4 weeks camping, and you're getting paid to do it, even better. So it's funny the way that something that I kind of dreamed of doing at one point is you've turned into like a job, which I think is really, really cool. So what other camps and places have you been? Obviously you had the Sweden one. Was there any other big workloads that you had similar to that in your travels or in your camp setups?
Oh, I think, yeah, there were a couple of camps. So first we did one in the Netherlands, just home base, and it was a cool start of the summer. And after that was quite nice, because there were a couple of people from Belgium as well. We've got 2 locations where our company is located, which is in the Netherlands and in Belgium. And a couple of the Belgian guys came over to help us with our build, because, well, due to Corona, there weren't that many other things to do. So, and the interaction between us and them was actually quite fun. And 3 of them came up to me afterwards and said, look, I don't know where you're going after this, but, just take me with you. And they ended up joining me for about 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
On all these different projects, which was, so, at some point, more and more people started gathering. And out of the 10 people in Sweden, like 6 of them actually were with me during the whole course of the summer. And so basically formed our own little team, which just came to be out of nowhere. All sort of like what you said as well. You wanted to get out of the whole chaos and everything, and they were thinking the same, because we were on those camps for 4 weeks with only us. There were no guests because it was pre-season. And that basically meant we were in lockdown together, just working and doing a lot of fun things, but we didn't have to care about Corona at all. So every single camp we went to, we just, we're in our own little bubble, living the good life and not minding, all the things that were happening outside, which was, chaos, a blessing.
Yeah. That's awesome. I suppose that's sorry, go on. I was going to say.
I just wanted to say about the camps. Like I went to Spain, France, Sweden, the Netherlands, and then switched between them a couple of times.
Yeah,
so
nice.
That was a bit of traveling, but quite cool.
So you had camps all around Europe.
Yeah.
And they'll be continuing on as well. You'll be doing more camps. I mean, obviously it's a bit different. Do you do them in the winter when it gets all cold, or is it just the summer season?
We do have a winter camp, which one of them is up in the Netherlands and one is in France, and they are also a bit more wilderness based. Like the one in which is pretty cool. Like I'm very proud of this. The one in the Netherlands. I mean, it's not on the International Lonely Planet, but like we got an item inside in the Lonely Planet.
Nice.
Just a couple of weeks ago about the camp, and
awesome.
It's getting very, very good reviews. Which is the concept is just we have a Mongolian yurts inside the forest, which you from that base you can do a lot of hikes, walks. We do cold training with training yourself how to breathe when you hit cold water, and
like we have
2 saunas. Sorry?
Like Wim Hof sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then, there's a lot of yoga sessions, meditation in the forest, one of those sweating hut ceremonies that the old shamans did. We do as well. And basically there's a big tent with we went to all these secondhand stores and got all these cool old furnitures, and basically built like a living space under a tent where everybody can gather and play board games, or sit beside a fire and a campfire. And
nice.
It's all very a big, like a very warm feeling when you get there. And we try to be very, I don't know, the crew as well, like interact with the guests a lot and make sure they are happy, and try to be on top of our game with all of that. So we're very glad that this is getting the scores that they are getting now, and especially getting into magazines and stuff like Lonely Planet, which is
sounds awesome.
At least something I would have never dreamt of, because it was my my to go to book when I was traveling through Australia.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny, because it sounds like an absolute dream sort of like holiday kind of thing, or a resort. Like the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, I want to go to one of these things, and I want to get out into the bush. But you've got what, like 10 employees, and how many guests? Like 15 guests or something, all in this little commune for 3 weeks or something. How long do the
we've got 18 accommodations, which 18 yurts, which is like they can house 2 to 4 people. So it really depends on like how many people book during the week and if everything is sold out. But it's not that bad. So on top of it, let's say 4 people is got 72 guests, and we only have 4 or 5 employees there. It's not that much, but like people, what you do is you train people how to chop wood, accompany them with it. We have one person that's trained in yoga. and meditation. They are mainly focused on that. People can just sign up to go and join those sessions. Then there's one separate person, which is the sweating ceremony, which we contacted him from the outside. We don't have all the tools and knowledge inside our organization to host those ceremonies, but we were thinking is going to be a very, very nice addition to the camp. So he came from the outside, built up his whole thing over there, and then he's organized it basically on his own, but inside our concept, which is very cool. Like I've became nice friends with the guy as well. Like he's very relaxed, very calm, and just very nice to speak to. And he seems like a good suitor to do those things. Obviously he is, because he's it's his job. But but
awesome.
You get when you talk to him, you just get this sense of calm.
This sense of calmness. Yeah, well, I mean, if you take that as a career path, and you're doing it all the time, you'd hope that it works to a sense that you're super calm all the time.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I like I said, the more we talk about it, the more I want to go to one of these camps. And you haven't been affected by Corona either, have you? Because you've got abilities to sort of get out in the bush and sort of still do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite strange because we are a travel organization, but we managed to grow about 350% in the last 3 years.
Wow!
During Corona, which is pretty cool. But I don't know. I think it's because our basis was a surfing festival, which is a week with basically a surfing camp, but we try to do it a bit more festive. You have a camp as well, but you can be sort of week that people have some days off, relaxing days, and they can also go surfing on the days where they have a bit more time on their hands. But around all of that, we have singer-songwriters and bands and stuff. They come up and as well, and we have beach parties. I don't know. I think we tried to find a very good balance between surfing, being active as well, but having resting days in between with a little bit of partying, a little bit of musical interference. But now, obviously, the whole festivities they can't go on, but we still have our camp. So we fell back onto our camp concept really, and just exploited that a lot, which in these times is pretty much the best yet anyway. It didn't really matter much.
I mean, the idea of going away into the wilderness and having a week of meditation and yoga retreat, out somewhere in Sweden by a lake or somewhere like that, which is super peaceful, sounds amazing to me. It sounds chaos that is happening around us at the moment. Sounds awesome. Oh, have I lost you there? Do we still have connection?
No, I think so. I'm just checking. Maybe my good. I'm thinking about switching really quick to back Zoom. Like if I switched.
Hey.
Let's see. This is better. All right. Can you hear me now? Should be better now, eh?
I can still hear you. I don't know if it's your end or my end. This happened last week as well. I think it happened a bit with the weather, but hopefully I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, this is perfect. I just because it said an unstable internet connection, but I just switched to my hotspot on the phone, perfect. So it's a bit better now. Should be fine from now on.
Cool. So when did you leave traveling? Because what were you doing before you went traveling? Because when I met you 5 years ago, you were deep into some travels as well, weren't you? You were 3 or 4 years into traveling, or was that?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I wasn't gone the whole time. I mean, my adventure in Australia and New Zealand, I combined them and did a little bit of Asia. Pretty standard sort of road trip to go to, at least from from the Netherlands, and that was about 1.5 years. But before that, I did a lot of traveling as well. I tried to combine traveling with work. So basically, I was working, traveling, working, traveling, combining those things, and sort of like the thing that I did, I mean, seemed to work for me was like I thought of like a travel or like a road trip that I wanted to do. Let's say it would, for the duration of 2 weeks, sort of calculate how much it would cost me, like approximately, and then work for the duration that I had saved up the money for the road trip plus the same amount as saving. Okay. And then I would just leave and go do that trip and then come back and do exactly the same thing. So that way I got to work, save up money for, later times, and got the travel as well. And, that way, I don't know, like it worked for me. It was a very good concept for myself. And I managed to do actually quite a lot of traveling. So I wasn't gone the whole time, but I was doing that for over like 2 years before I actually went on a long road trip and work in Australia and such.
Nice. And during that time, or when you're in Australia, did you actually go to a camp similar to what you're building now, or was this idea that sort of just came to you while you're traveling? Or
I don't know, like this whole concept, like it developed through the growth of the company that I did the volunteering for in the beginning. That's the thing. I kind of rolled into it. I didn't really knew what to do when I got back. But as soon as I came back, I didn't have a plan. I just went back home, and just a couple of days. Yeah, like a couple of days after that, actually was looking into starting studies or whatever. Because I
see.
It felt like I should finish that as well, but it never really felt like me, doing a master's or whatever. I was more practical. Yeah, I was always, a bit more practical. But then again, when you society and stuff, they tell you, okay, when you get your degree and such, you have some, accomplish something. You can get into all these companies, which affected me as well.
It's overrated.
Yeah, even though during my travels, I didn't really feel like it. But then I got home, I didn't really know what to do, and it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invest in some more studies, and quite quickly I learned, like, look, I might have to take my own path on this, and see where I'll end up. And I don't know, somehow when I got to that thought, one of my friends, he invited me to come and work at his company for 2.5 months. That ended up being 4 years before I, started my own company.
Nice.
But that gave me the opportunity to learn how to work wood. And wood is a very nice material to get creative with. Before that, I've worked with metal as well, which is a bit harder to easily manipulate into. Yeah. So, but combining those two again is a very, very cool way to build even very sound structures. And that way, having worked with both, I can I know how to make very cool things. It wasn't really planned to go and follow this path, but it sort of showed itself along the way, I guess. I had dreams. I didn't really have a plan. I knew that I wanted to make very cool things.
I want to make some cool stuff, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that was basically my answer always. Like, people ask me, "What do you want to do?" It's like, I just want to make cool stuff. And they ask me, "Well, what do you want to make?" So it doesn't really matter as long as I don't know.
Make something cool.
Yeah, and so that was like the basis of it all, and that came out to be what it is now, which is to me a very cool thing, getting to combine traveling with making cool stuff, which is even better than just stuff.
Yeah, I get to make cool stuff, but I get to make cool stuff while traveling and doing it in places all around the world.
Exactly.
That is cool. I think it says something for just sort of going with the flow, because You knew what you wanted to do, and that was make cool stuff. You didn't know how you were going to do it, but just being open and going with the flow, and just sort of taking what comes, you fell into this opportunity, which led to another one, which led to another one, which led you to this amazing position you're in now, where your business is making cool stuff while you travel, which is exactly what you wanted. So it's just sort of followed your gut and followed your intuition, and the one thing led to the next, which has led you to the life that you I'd say your dream life, but the life you wanted, which is where you are now. And have you got big plans to grow it still? Is it still on the growth development stage, or are you sort of
always sort of, I guess? Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I hold on to is just try to have big dreams always. It doesn't really matter if you make it or not. I mean, if you're happy where you are, if you can look at the place where you're standing right now and be happy with that, it doesn't really matter if you have big dreams or if you fail at achieving big dreams, in my opinion. One of the mottos of the company is it's all about the journey, not the destination. And for me, that is just it. I mean, why wouldn't you dream big? Why wouldn't you think about all these cool things that you like to achieve at some point? If you speak out loud, if you tell people about them, share your dreams, maybe you can come together, maybe you can form a team, or maybe you can do it on your own, or people can, I don't know, they can
point you in the right direction or make a connection.
Yeah, I mean,
offer something, exactly. An idea. Yeah, I totally agree. I think lots of people forget about the journey. They're so wound up, like get so focused on the destination. Like, I got to do this. And I know I'm guilty for myself as of late, especially. We've got the goal in mind and this is where I want to be, but we forget to enjoy the journey that it is there. I was listening to Alex Mahoney, I think his name is. I probably butchered that name, but he's on YouTube, and he was referencing similar to what Michael Jordan says. Actually, I think it might have been Kobe Bryant, when they're saying, one of the two, where they say that like the work is the dream. The getting up early, the training hard, the actual work, the pushing through, and the doing is the dream. You get to this final destination, and you go, oh, okay, what next? And it's the same with the way that the dopamine is released in our brains. It's the dopamine released in the anticipation of something is actually higher than the dopamine released in the reward. And I remember hearing about this reference. I think I was talking about this a few weeks back on my podcast. Reference to a chocolate cake. Like you've got a bit of chocolate cake at home. You're waiting to get home, and the thought of having that chocolate cake all day is so good to you. And then when you get there, you eat it. It's like, that was good. Now what? It's that dopamine release of the desire of achieving something. And sometimes we get so wound up on achieving it that we forget to appreciate how far we've come, appreciate the journey we're on, and appreciate the efforts we've done to get to where we are, and the challenges that come along the way, and how we overcome those challenges, and how we step forward, and how we grow and develop during that process of actually trying to achieve that. Because most of the time we get there and we're like, it's cool. All right, now what's next? That's what human nature is we want something more. And that's why I think it's really important to, as you said earlier, dream big, because dream massive. Dream bigger than you can even think you're dreaming, because even if you get halfway there to the dream that's 10 times bigger than it is now, you're still going to be much better off than you are now. You know what I mean? Don't dream small and then achieve it and be like, hooray, dream 10 times bigger and then fail halfway and still be 10 times ahead of where you are now. And I think it's something that so many people aren't taught to do. They're not taught to dream big. They're not taught to have these huge goals and dream about them, even if they've got no idea how they're going to achieve them, which I think is also quite important. It doesn't matter if you know how or the plan or anything like that. Have your dream, and as you said, speak it out loud. Say it to people, and it will come together as it comes together.
Exactly. I mean, I've even noticed that, when you dare to dream big, because as you say, it's not always a set thing for people to dream big. But if you dare to dream big, at first, maybe people, they react like, oh, wait, you're never going to achieve it. So it's fine. It doesn't matter. But even if I fail, people learn from their mistakes way better than they learn from anything else. Even if I fail, I can try again, or maybe not. That's my own decision, but I will have learned something.
Yeah, exactly. I'll learn that I hate that, or I'll learn not to do it that way, and I'll do it some other way. I totally agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, people are like, oh, all right, yeah. doesn't sound that stupid at all, and maybe they will start dreaming big for themselves. It doesn't really matter, but I think for me the most important thing is to try and um be happy with the things in between, and don't look at failure as something bad. If
Yeah,
you fail, it doesn't matter. If you don't achieve your goals, it doesn't matter. You have achieved something, because you will always be further than you were when you started. And
totally agree.
when you don't achieve the goal, when it starts to get impossible or whatever, you can always settle for where you are and then be happy with that. It doesn't matter. For
Change, come back
me,
later, do something different. Yeah, always taking
exactly.
those
And
lessons.
yeah, exactly. I think that's quite important. And now I got to the point where my dreams, the things that I set out to do, they all came together sort of this summer. Starting my own company at the same time. I am sort of like rebuilding a house that I bought, which was a dream to myself as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, having the job that I want, having the company that I was aiming for, having a house, they're all big dreams. And after this summer, I mean, I was completely tired. I've worked a lot over the course of 4 years, like a lot.
Yeah,
I did all those things together at once, and I worked during the days for like 10 hours, so I had a little bit of extra money to spend on remodeling the house. And then in the evenings, I was working for the company where I volunteered for in the beginning, back in 2017, 18, and 19. And in the weekends, I was working on the house and doing the hours into that. And then, so it tired me out. And then
sacrifice.
as soon as I finished one thing, I came up with the next. And um, doing that for like 4 years straight has,
It's tiring.
like, yeah, it is tiring. But like when I do it now, I'm like, I mean, I'm young, I have a lot of energy still.
Yeah,
And it's a good time to do, because it is a very big investment in my future. And now it all came together so I can relax a little bit more. But I didn't really, the end of this summer, I was so tired as well because of the summer and having all these things that it broke me up a little bit. And I lost the concept of being appreciative of the things that I already have, and
yeah,
sort of lost myself into aiming for these bigger things. So this year, um, I don't know this year or how long it's going to be, but I I sat down for a bit and got a little bit back to myself and started thinking like, look, why don't you just calm down a little?
mm,
You just live in the things that you have now, start to appreciate that. And been doing that for maybe a month now, and
nice.
I lost a lot of, I had a lack of energy. I wasn't feeling that well. Mentally and physically, I had a lack of energy. But coming back to the whole point of like, look what you've got, look what you achieved
Yeah,
already, instead of, aiming further. I think, that will give me another boost to go back into, you know,
the next
all the
phase
other
or
things. Yeah, but maybe I should slow down just a little bit and enjoy all these things. Because when I was in, Australia at
yeah,
your place, my dream was to, have a little bit of a passive income, so I don't really have to work, have a house, or I mean, not have to work, but like I can go traveling and don't have all the financial like
burden.
burdens that uh, don't allow me to travel anymore, because I have to be at home. I've got um, a house to pay off, a debt, and now I build a house in a place where I can rent it out when I go away.
Nice.
Um, and that was one of the goals as well. But I sort of forgot why I did it in the first place.
Yeah,
So maybe this year I can go a little bit more easy on myself and start to enjoy a little bit more free time, and enjoy the places where I can go to because of work, and maybe visit a few new destinations for myself as
yeah,
well.
nice. I think it's very that's something that I'm trying to teach myself at the moment, and listening to you talk about it, it really sort of sinks in for me as well. And it's really that we do sometimes we work so hard to get to this goal, as we were just saying, but we lose sight of why we're doing it, and then we get so focused on trying to achieve this thing and forget about the journey that we've got, as we were talking about before, and the little things on the way, and the joy and the excitement and happiness of the day-to-day life and the small things. And we get so run down, when really if we take back and appreciate those small things and just be happy and enjoy the little bits that we've got and take a little bit of time off ourselves, usually we've got so much more energy and we're so much more excited to continue on that we end up doing better in the long run. And I find for myself, I'm all or nothing. Well, I used to be all or nothing, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it, because you'd go and work hard and then you just get burnt out and then you'd crash and stop. It's that old tortoise and the hare sort of thing. And I think the more we're able to continuously working on something bit by bit, but also appreciating the day-to-day things and the small things that we can do and the joy of life, that is, then it sort of becomes a bit more symbiotic and works within itself to sort of grow. And I think if you can do that, it's more sustainable over a long period to achieve those bigger goals, rather than just working your ass off and then crashing and working your ass off and crashing. But that's for me anyway. I don't know if it's for everyone, but that's what I feel.
Exactly. I mean, it also, I think that when you say that's for me, you have to look at what works for you and works for yourself. And I think, having a podcast called The Success Shift and stuff, like, if you look at what success is in the basis, which is a very strange concept in a way, because you can approach that from many, many different angles.
I think it's a subjective thing, personally.
Yeah, exactly. It is something different for everyone. The thing is, like, try not to let other people define your success.
Totally agree.
Because that's the thing that has been most important for me, at least the thing that I developed over the years, that you define for yourself what success is. You can be motivated by other people or inspired, but you have to decide in what way you want to be successful, or when you are successful. You can decide that for yourself. Like, you can be successful at any point and any moment in your life with whatever you have. It doesn't really matter.
Totally. That's so true.
Decide, I am successful. You are successful.
Yeah.
And that was a long road for me as well. I'm very different from my family, and they had different goals. And when I grew up, that was sort of like, my goal as well, because they were doing that. And for me, being successful meant doing the same thing as they did. Yeah. And it took me a lot of, work to find my own path. And it took me quite a while, but, once that sort of thought of my own success, like, what is success and how do I define it for myself, when I got the grasp of all of that, it didn't really matter anymore. And it's really liberated me from a lot of things that held me back, actually. Yeah. Instead of, motivated me to grow and getting bigger and better.
Removing those limiting beliefs sort of thing, because you were probably so tied down. I mean, I sort of came from the whole go to university engineering background. So for me, going off on the other path after I got my degree and just turning down a job opportunity, doing a full right turn, I found it the same sort of thing. Well, for me to take a while to actually let go of, like, this is success for me, because I'm not made for that, even though my family did schooling and stuff like that, and that's sort of what we were all grown to do. Going left field and doing something different took a while for me to go, actually, this is my success. This is, all the things that I've done in the last 5 years of traveling, the journeys I've had, the memories I've got, that to me is success. And I think, exactly as you said before, you can be successful at any single point of any day when you decide that that's successful. And I think the concept of acknowledging the successes, the little things, and saying that you're successful and having that that personality of I am a successful person really helps to have more successes and fill your life with positive energy and more drive to the next thing. Whereas if you're always saying that, I'm a failure, I haven't done this, or I'm not meeting this level of success, then it becomes hard to keep going and you lose that drive and that motivation. So I think, as you said, it's completely up to you. You can be successful at any point. And I think it's good to acknowledge that. Well, for me anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's a cool thing. I mean, I've taken a different path than, like, most of the things, just because I didn't really know, like I didn't feel like there was a path that was fit for me,
Yeah.
sort of. And looking at my travels and stuff, meeting all these people back in Australia and all the other things, a lot of them had big dreams and probably still have them. And a lot of them also achieved all of it. But I also noticed that a couple of them, they came back and they sort of went back into their safe spot, sort of,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing per se, but like I found out that some people find it hard to still break free from all of those
Old paradigms.
yeah, exactly. And one of the coolest things that happened to me this summer was, like I took this path and it took me a lot of work to get here. And then in Sweden, one of the guys from the crew, like he was at this sort of like folk like in rows. He didn't really know what to do. His family said like, yeah, you got to do this and that. Like they pointed him in a certain direction, but he didn't really want to. He wanted to go and make music and travel and do all these things. And we sat at the campfire at some point, and then I don't know, I just sort of came out of myself, and I told him, so look, it's going to be hard work if you take a path that's not already laid out. If you go and study, they tell you do this, and you will have that. You will achieve that. You have a road. You know what to do. You have a program, steps to take. If you don't follow that, if you take your own thing, you have to do that as well. You
have to find the
steps.
steps.
Exactly. You have to find the steps. You have to think of them. It's going to be more work. It's going to be more difficult. But if you set out to do it, if you have the motivation to do it, the inspiration to do so, you will probably have more fun doing it anyway. Like, and if you have more fun, you will have a very big smile on your face.
Yeah.
And, all the people that are back home and they tell you how to do things and they tell you do this and that, they can argue any single thing that you tell them. They can argue why to go to school or why to do this or why to do that. They have a lot of arguments for that. But if you tell them with a very big smile that what you are doing is what you need to do, they can't argue that smile. They will never be able to argue that smile. If you are happy in doing what you do, it doesn't matter what argument they have. Go back to that smile and say, look, I am very happy. It doesn't matter what I do. I am very happy. And you can tell me that it doesn't, it's not the right path or it's not, but I am happy. I'm enjoying my life.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that's already a lot more than some people actually.
I think it's a lot more than a lot of people. I love that. You can't argue with a smile. You just can't. Like you can try argue at it. If the person's still smiling, then you lose. And most people start arguing towards a smile, and they don't want to argue anymore because they're like, "You're happy. I just want to be happy with you. I don't want to fight that. Sure, just do what you want, man. As long as you're happy." I love that. I really like that. It's a funny concept, and I just have it envisioned in my mind of someone's mum. You got to be doing this, and then the response is just a big smile, like happy. I'm happy. No, that's a really good perspective. I really like that actually. All right, Patty, it's coming up to the hour. We've been yarning for almost an hour. These things fly. Sometimes I look down and I don't even realize that we've gone for almost an hour. But I'll wrap it up here. But I've got two final questions which I ask everyone. And the first one is, what would be the one thing you'd go back and tell yourself at 17?
Wow. When I was 17, I think, I don't know, it sounds maybe a bit corny, but, basically just, it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
I mean, at that time, I had no clue what to do. I mean, it's not like I was very scared of not knowing it, but, if I were to come across myself during that age and I saw my grown-up self and stuff saying like, look, don't worry, mate.
Just chill out.
It's going to be okay.
It's all going to be all right.
do it with a smile though. Like,
Yeah,
I have a very big smile. It's like, look, it's going to be okay.
yeah.
Then
Just
it would
smile.
have helped a lot. Yeah, yeah. It would have taken. It doesn't matter, from that moment on, probably was like, okay, I'm doing this. I don't really know if it's the right path, but it will be okay. So
Yeah, I don't know if this is right, but I was told it's going to be okay. So let's just keep going with it. But I suppose that brings back to what you were saying before. Like just going with the flow, and that's how you ended up sort of where you are. So yeah, it's going to be okay. Just put a smile on your face and continue on. I love that. All right, second question. If you could have the answer to any question in the world, the complete truthful answer to any question, what would that question be?
DM.
Hey?
That's all right. Well, just asking the little questions, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh, mate,
I
I
like
have
to
to
stump
think
people with
about
that
it.
one. It's a thinker for
Yeah,
many
yeah,
people.
that's very good. Any question in the world, ah, there's a lot of questions though. But like, if I think about all these questions, like look, if, think about the question. For example, like, how am I going to die? You don't really want to know that because it complicates so many
Complicates
things.
everything. Yeah.
There's so many questions, and I think about, right, but what if I knew that? Would it
Would that
be
change it
would
or?
it be would it change anything? Would it be will I have more fun or less fun? Like how to become rich. Then you know how to become rich,
Yeah.
and
And that
then you'll get
ruins the
rich. But
journey.
exactly, then you can get whatever you want. But will it be more fun? I don't know. Like, um, I think, oh, mate.
I like this reaction. This is why I asked this question.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Then even one of the questions that pop up is like, well, will I be happy when I die? But then if the answer is no, it's like
Well, what's the point?
it's like, how am I going to change that? Then it would be so much more difficult. Like
Yeah.
the main goal shifts to changing that. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for those answers.
Look, if you can't find one, your response and watching your mind explode with the question was good enough for me. So if you don't have an answer, I can settle for your response of watching your brain just go, oh, I don't know.
Will I ever be able to answer this question?
Yeah, there you go. Well, if you get a yes, is that the answer, or are you going to be waiting to answer it again?
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
is there follow-up questions like when?
yeah.
When?
No, it's only one
Do I
question.
recognize it when I've got the answer? It's like, I don't know.
Oh, that's great. That was a better response than an actual answer, I think. I really enjoyed that.
Or make you smile. So
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You left me smiling. That's the main thing. All right, Pat. This has been absolutely amazing. Did you have I don't know if you guys are still doing bookings or anything like that. Do you have a website that you wanted to share with anyone listening to come and book a retreat or one of your
I
camps? I
mean,
don't know
yeah,
what the deal is.
the website is the name of the company is called Travel Base.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, people can just like Google it, and there's a couple of things. We've got Belgium and a Dutch website as well. We are looking into going to Germany actually, starting off in Germany and France as well. So it is not completely I don't know. It's not all over Europe yet. It's just these four countries that we're mainly focusing on with marketing and stuff. But we do have people visiting from English-based languages and stuff as well. So yeah, just look into travel base, and that will get you where you want to be.
Perfect. So there it is. If you want to go camping in these awesome wilderness places, might even see myself on one because the more we talk about it, the more I'm tempted to come and join you on one. But travel base, search it. There's a website, and you can book from there, right? You can book on the website.
Yeah, book on the
Perfect.
website. Yep.
Perfect. All right, Pat. Well, it's been absolutely amazing chatting with you again. It's been awesome getting to reconnect with you after a while and spending these last few weeks connecting as much as we have. I'm sure we'll be
Mm.
in touching base a lot in the future. Anyone that is listening to this on YouTube or Facebook, please send some love. If you're watching the replay, We'd love to hear where you're coming from and any thoughts on the travel base side of thing. If you want to book a place, a tour, if you're going to go check it out. Other than that, I'm going to leave it here. We'll be back next week with episode 10. We finally made it to 10. If you've been following along, you'll realize that this is a sort of stumble forward, fail fast kind of show where I've spur of the moment decided to make it, and we're figuring it out as we go along. So hopefully, as the shows progress, so does the performance and the whole value that you get out of the shows. So I really hope you're enjoying it so far, and tune in next week, same time, 6 p.m. CET. We'll have another guest for you. But other than that, I guess we'll leave it at that. All right, Pat, really appreciate it. Peace out.
No
I'll
worries.
speak to you later.
Thanks very much.
No worries.